And three,
Okay.
two, one, we're recording.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wild West Trail podcast. We got the legendary Jared Stewart here. He's going to tell us all about his hike on the Dark Divide. It's some of the most unexplored territory in Washington State, dense forest, and Jared's done a lot of other hikes. So let's just get right into it, man. Good to see you. I haven't seen you since what, Pacific Northwest Trail?
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass you in front of your audience, but I got to tell a story that when I met Jewel, he drank like 2 IPAs, drank a carton of milk, and ate something like a dozen pizza pockets, and I was the most impressed I've been in a long time. Um,
I was so yeah. I just finished the Idaho Centennial Trail, and I haven't seen people at all. And then we ended up in Eureka, Montana. Turns out the Pacific Northwest Trail, nothing like the Idaho Centennial. It's beautiful. It's fun. Tons of trails, and the gas station is 24 hours a day. So yeah, I ate a lot.
yeah,
Ate a lot of
it's
food.
dope. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so the Dark Divide is rad.
Mhm.
It's supposedly Bigfoot country. I'm a natural skeptic, but I'm
Mhm.
also fond of surprises. So I
Mhm.
was definitely looking for signs of the Bigfoot. Uh,
So where is it? Where is this hike? Where is this trail?
oh, it's in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, which
Okay.
is like, it's a beautiful place. We have old growth trees you can't wrap your arms around. The Forest Service does a wonderful job managing the land there, and yeah, it's just great. It's a hidden gem as far as I'm concerned, because I don't know why it's not more popular. It's in Southwest Washington. It's very accessible from the Portland area. Um,
Wait. So it's accessible to Portland. It's beautiful, easy to get to, but I guess you can't get Insta famous from it. Is that why it's not as popular? You
yeah,
know,
maybe I should.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you telling me there was no Instagram models on this hike, Jared? Because I don't understand how we're going to get people to hike it if that's the case.
Just me.
So wait, how many miles is it?
Oh, I mean, it's not a lot. Like, you could do it in a month. Robert Pyle, Dr. Robert Pyle, I think it took him a month to do.
Who's Doctor was Piehole? Who is he?
Dr. Pyle is a
Doctor
butterfly
Pile.
expert.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's actually a very similar story to Wild, right? Like, he loses someone he loves, his wife dies, and he goes like on this journey of self-discovery to catalog all the moths and butterflies. And yeah, it's sad that that happened, but it's cool that he did it.
Right. It's never
I
good
think those
to lose
yeah.
someone, but so yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. They came out with a movie that I was watching a little bit last night. It's called The Dark Divide. Now, did
Oh,
you?
you watched
I
it? Yeah.
I watched as much of it as I could stomach. Did you do this hike before the movie or after the movie?
So I work for the Mount St. Helens Institute. We're a science education nonprofit, and we were contacted by the film crew as
Oh,
like, hey, we made this movie about like everything that's going on in your backyard. And I had hoped to hike the SHT this summer, but it's like
what's the SHT?
the Superior Hiking Trail out in Duluth,
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get on a plane right now. Like, the world's whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking for something to do, and I got a screener copy, and I'm like, that looks dope. And I want to see some big trees. And yeah, like, so to compare and contrast, like, the first half of the trail was very much like the Pacific Northwest Trail, where, at one point, me and my buddies are like, oh, there's so many trees that we're going to have to like take off our backpacks and literally hand them over to each other to just get across this pile. And yeah, we went up Juniper Ridge, which is beautiful. It's gorgeous. You know, if you saw the movie, it's in the early sections of it.
So it's dense forest, a lot of old growth, a lot of ferns, moss, that kind of stereotypical.
Oh yeah. Oh
Temperate
man.
inland temperate rainforest. Would you call it?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I found so much chicken of the woods at one point,
Oh wow.
and it was like,
That's
yeah,
a mushroom for anyone who doesn't know.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Did you eat it? Did you cook it up?
No, I have tummy issues, so I'm reluctant to eat new things in.
Okay.
But it looked good.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like the second half of the trail was very much like the PCT, and in fact, like a large section of the PCT does cut through the Gifford Pinchot. So it was just like, okay, we almost died. We ran out of water, but now we're like in nature Disneyland, and we're just gonna walk on this groomed trail for the last 30 miles.
There you go. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, one of those popular hikes in America. Probably the reason why people from Portland aren't on the Dark Divide, because they're on the PCT, looking for that fame and those followers. But it's a beautiful trail. It's an equestrian trail, so they grade it. It's no more than a 2% incline the whole way, so horses can do the whole thing. So once you get up there, man, but the views must have been insane once you get up top.
Yeah, the views are great. And for anyone who's thinking to do the PCT, like the alternates are worth exploring, and they're not graded for horses, so they almost always go somewhere cool that a horse can't get to. So yeah, highly encourage you to explore that.
So how long were you out in the Dark Divide? How long were you hiking for?
It was like a little over a week that I did it, and there was a lot more I could have explored. And it's rad, right? Like this landscape is so unique and so diverse. I ended in the lava fields, right? And like the land just looks like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything's been like busted up, and trees are growing like out of cliffs, and nothing intersects the way you think it should. And it was a very surreal but also awesome experience, like to have at the end. Yeah, and there weren't a lot of people on it, which I also liked.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So that's the best part. So let's see. That's why me and Jared, we've always kind of agreed on that. We hike to get away from people. And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like most people hike to meet people, which is kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't correct you on that. And I have conflicting emotions about being like, oh, this place is dope, but also it's like my backyard, and I'm really happy that I kind of have this wonderland all to myself. But
right. So if anyone's thinking about hiking this, it's outside of Los Angeles. Go down there, Los Angeles National Forest. Same thing.
Oh man, yeah.
So I watched. There's this movie called The Dark Divide, which is about this hike, this trail, this part of the America. It's a beautiful part of the country. But parts of the movie, I didn't watch the whole thing, and this is the part I had to turn it off. There's like this scene where the main character, he's like upset that there's people driving dirt bikes. He's like, there's no off-trail motorized vehicles allowed. So he gets in a heated argument with a forest ranger, with a Forest Service ranger. And he's like, how come you can't do your job and stop these people? And the Forest Service ranger, she gets all indignant. And she says, there's only like 12 of us for a size of land that's 5 times the size of Manhattan. But Manhattan, 5 times the size of Manhattan is only 65 miles long. So it's like, that's when I turned it off. I was like,
Well,
It's only
I mean,
65 miles. What you can't
Manhattan's
do it.
also like divided by roads, and this is the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Like you can get lost for days.
No,
And
for sure.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but that's the part of the movie I had to turn off because it was like you're just measuring things in terms so city folk can understand instead of just being like, yeah, we don't do our job. So,
yeah.
but
Well,
it's a
I would
beautiful area.
say, yeah, and I would argue that the Forest Service does a wonderful job.
Really, were
Yeah,
the trails maintained?
yeah, most of them.
That's
I had
good.
to like figure my own way through that, which was cool, right? Because like I saw the movie and I looked up the hike, and I'm like, I don't know, like this isn't like an established trail. It was just a guy who's like, I want to look at butterflies.
Mhm. So wait, this is the guy that there's a trail because of him. He didn't go follow a trail. He
No,
actually
yeah,
created the trail.
yeah, he
Oh,
he
okay.
created the trail. And yeah, it was crazy. I got on all trails. I got on the app, and I'm like, plugging everything in, and um there was a moment where like I was like, oh shit, I gotta like pull out. We can't find the trail. We're not gonna bushwhack. I had two friends with me who they've never done a long distance hike. They had only done like overnight
Okay.
trips, and I was just like, I'm not about to like push these guys up the side of this hill. But then we found unnamed trail number 2, because one of them, my friend Ricky, he saw a orange flag and was just like, it's here. And it looked like no one had been on it all summer. But once we got off that linking trail, like yeah, most things were well established and pretty good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
So you live outside of Portland. Um,
yeah, I live in Southwest Washington.
okay.
Yeah.
So this is your backyard. This is your favorite thing. So when you're not hiking out there, what are you doing?
Well, it's a pandemic, so not a lot.
You're you're not going into the forest. Did they shut that down in Washington?
No, I think we can still go in the forest. I don't know. I'm going to hunt mushrooms with my
There you go.
buddy this weekend. Chanterelles are still growing about
Really?
I think under like the 500-foot level. Yeah, I think they're still growing. I'm
Whoa,
hopeful.
you guys getting rain?
Oh, yeah, this is a huge we get so the Cascades end like with Mount St. Helens being a convergence zone for like two weather systems. And so like just south of Mount St. Helens gets like a lot of rain. And God, I wish I knew the stats on that, but
It's a lot. It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a
They got
lot,
you got chanterelles in December, so that's better than we got in Idaho. Everything's frozen here.
Is it? Yeah. How are
Yeah, it's
things in
frozen.
Idaho?
Snowy,
No.
beautiful. But yeah, the mushrooms stopped growing probably first week of November was when the ground got a little too hard for them to pop out of it.
Yeah. No. I think so. Langdon Cook. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, he's an author who wrote this book about like God, it's the mushroom hunters, and he came to my
Is
work and
it for what the rain brings? Is it that one? What the
no,
rain
I mean
brings.
it's
Oh,
just
okay.
it's about him like following around and hanging out with people who hunt mushrooms for a living.
Okay.
But like anyway, what he said is that I'm very lucky because I live like in the golden triangle of mushroom hunting, like
Wow.
Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens. They form this like triangle where apparently we get like the best mushrooms.
Whoa. So you're finding chanterelles. You got morels in the spring, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Puffballs popping out.
matsutakis. Oh,
Yeah.
matsutakis are good. You eat
Matsutake's
them
are
with
good.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah. What about boletes? We got tons of boletes in Idaho.
I'm not like great at
Hmm.
identifying boletes
Okay.
because I'm like, is that? And I only eat something I 100% am sure won't
Hmm.
give me
Hmm.
diarrhea.
Okay, so are you finding psilocybin mushrooms? What are you doing out there?
No,
I feel like you'd be
I
in the woods a lot more if you were.
yeah, and anyone who wants to do that, like, more power to you. It's not my jam. I have too much anxiety. I just don't think I can handle it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good because usually when people talk about mushrooms, but you're actually doing them because you just like. Well, it sounds like you like to hunt them more than you like to eat them.
I mean, both, right? Like,
Both,
it's
right?
fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
It's fun to go
It
out
is
in
a
the
lot of
woods
fun.
and look for stuff. And it's rewarding to bring it home and be like, I found this thing. And as much as we have in common, I have a hard time killing animals and fish. And so, like, the mushroom, I'm a bleeding heart. The mushroom's like, oh, I'm not hurting anything. It's just
I
like,
mean, you do know mushrooms are alive, right?
I'm plugging my ears on that one. Like, they're
No,
about as live as a plant, right?
well, they're not a plant. They're well. To your point, though, I'm gonna argue for you here.
Oh,
The part of
shit.
the mushroom
Okay.
that we eat is actually the sexual organ of the mushroom. So it could be argued that the mushrooms actually want you to pick their sexual organs because you're gonna spread their spores while you carry it around the forest while you continue to collect them. So the mycelium
Yeah.
that lives underneath the ground that has these offshoots, which is mushrooms that we eat, it actually doesn't hurt the mycelium. If anything, it probably helps it. So you're really just you're helping out the ecosystem by eating mushrooms,
Yeah. I'm like Johnny Appleseed, but with mushrooms.
right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good,
So you don't eat meat then? You're a vegan. You don't no
No,
fish, no
I do
nothing.
eat meat. I'm a hypocrite.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to, like, meet my meat, right? I want, like, a market to just, like, do it. I don't know. I don't want to be the one who does the murder.
That's one way to look at it. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I see myself as being more respectful to the animal because these factory
Mm.
farms that you
Oh,
know what
yeah.
they're terrible, right? I don't want anything to
They
do with
are for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
don't. I'd rather, and I do like the taste of animals, so I'd rather just do it myself. And I think that shows a lot more respect to the ecosystem and a lot more respect to the animal because you got to think about it. These animals are in the wild. Wolves eat them from the butthole first, or they freeze to death. But like, I'm putting a bullet right through their heart. Like they're dead. Two
What?
seconds, done. Yeah.
Um,
So I'm the I'm the best thing that ever happened to him. If you look at it from that perspective.
yeah, I don't know. I guess if I'm dead, I'm not super, like, concerned about whether I'm shot in the heart or someone's digging into my butthole.
Right? Uh, they're gonna go. These animals don't live more than 7 years at the maximum. So it's like how are
Okay,
they gonna
okay.
go? Starve to death, freeze to death, wolf through the butthole, or bullet through the heart?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Does that change your mind at all? Are you Did I get you on the meat wagon?
no, I mean, I want to keep eating meat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad. Like, I can't. And when I look at a wolf, I see a dog.
Oh,
I couldn't shoot a dog. I couldn't,
no. Have you
um,
seen a wolf, Jared? Have you seen a wolf in the wild?
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're
Um,
not. They're not dogs. I've run into a couple packs of them. They are very smart. I would say if they had the same IQ as like a human scale, I would say the bottom end 110, top end we're looking at like a buck 30 IQ. These animals know exactly what they're doing. Very clever, very smart. I don't know how scientific that is. That's just from me running into them a couple of times. But no, the thing is, you can see in their
uh,
eyes. You can see. So I got within 30 yards of them, and you can see in their eyes. They're doing trigonometry. They're calculating how close they are to me, how fast they would have to run, how fast I can
yeah.
run away from them,
Well,
and then they're trying to figure out if it's worth it to come after me. And I could see this all happening in this, and I'm gonna call it a beast, a mountain beast's eyeballs. I could read
yeah.
its eyes, and when an animal looks at me and it wants to know if I'm food or not, there's something there that a dog just doesn't have. Dogs are separated from wolves by 100,000 years of
Oh yeah,
collective
no, I
evolution.
think
Yeah.
the best thing it's probably like more like 20,000 years, right? Is
Is
when
it
we
20?
domesticated.
Is
I don't
it?
know.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it? I
sorry.
thought it was farther than that.
I'm gonna be a science nerd. I don't know. Like, I
Is
don't
it
think
only
we're that
20,000?
old as a species. I think it's only
Really?
20,000. Yeah,
You
I
don't.
mean,
You
like,
don't think we're that old?
well, like in the way that we all have common ancestors, we're as old as the wolf, but like, where you and I are having conversations about what wolves do and thinking about that, I don't think people were having those conversations more than 20,000 years ago. And I think
Really?
and I think that's when we domesticated our beast friend.
Right. I mean, that's the agricultural revolution was around 10,000 years ago.
Was it? Oh,
Was
geez.
it?
Okay.
Was it?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. That brings up. So if you take our DNA and like if we had a time machine and you took a time machine back 100,000 years ago, you could actually breed with the humans 100,000 years ago. Our brains and everything, DNA are similar enough where we're literally the same species. So this is interesting, Jared. And I'm going to bring up something. Have you heard of the Younger Dryas impact theory?
No.
Okay. Okay.
What?
So let's just say our DNA goes back 100,000, and I might be off by
Well,
whatever,
no, but
but
I mean, our DNA
yeah,
goes back a lot
a lot.
more than that.
So you got to
That
think
like
we had this we had the same
and
brains that we have now 100,000 years ago.
well,
You think
no,
it took that
I
long?
don't know if we had the same
Okay.
brains we had 100,000 years ago. We don't have the same brains we had 20,000 years ago. Our brains are getting smaller.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, our brains are
I haven't heard
shrinking.
this. I haven't heard this. This is a hiking podcast, and we're talking about crazy shit right now. So yeah, bring it on. Our
Yeah,
brains
yeah.
are shrinking.
If you wanna go back to the dark divide, like I'm happy
Yeah.
to do that. But like,
No,
well,
no.
our
This is
brains they're getting smaller, and
yeah.
a human being, like our ancestor who's the most like us, had probably more specialized knowledge than you or I have about anything at all, right? Because they had to know all these things about the natural world, and in like maybe they didn't know about like how to do trigonometry, like, or maybe they didn't know it was called trigonometry, but they knew a lot and they were highly specialized. And as a species, we've kind of like embraced that and moved into more specialized roles. But like,
So we're doing this with our intelligence. Is what you're saying? We're
I'm not
losing.
saying that. I'm not saying
Oh,
that at all.
okay.
No, I mean, our brains could be shrinking, but like, there's other things going on with our evolution. A lot of people don't have wisdom teeth anymore,
Hmm.
right? Because we outgrew it, right? And you can't really say like evolution isn't necessarily about improvement. It's about adapting to your environment. And frankly, you and I may yearn to know about the natural world, but like we don't need to know about it to survive. We need to know how to pay our power bill.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Do you? It sounds like you're a little sad about that. It sounds like you're lamenting the fact that the power bill is more important than mushroom hunting. Am I reading? Am I picking
Uh,
up on that?
I mean, you're not totally wrong, right?
Mm.
Like we wouldn't have met on a long distance hike if we didn't appreciate that uh, to a certain degree. But yeah, I don't know, and I think there's yeah. Um,
Interesting. Interesting. So I made a point. I'm just gonna recap it. We don't have to talk about it anymore. This is just for anyone who's still watching this conversation. I brought up the Younger Dryas impact theory. Now, what this
yeah,
is, it's a theory that 12,800 years ago, a comet hit the Earth, wiped out civilization, and we had to restart civilization. Basically, go back to the Stone Age and come up from there. And so there's evidence for the impact crater. There's evidence for the timeline that it happened. And it's so the geology is there that something big impacted us, and it coincides with the extinction of the woolly mammoths and the megafauna, the giant sloth. So, and at the same time, if you get into like ancient Egyptology stuff, there's some dates from ancient Egyptology that coincide with that. And actually, the story of Atlantis, Plato, coincides with that exact timeline. So it's very interesting.
Atlantis, Plato? What is that?
So have you heard the story of Atlantis?
Oh, Atlantis. Sorry, I misheard you.
Atlantis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that comes from Plato, and he heard it from the ancient. So Atlantis is a historical story according to ancient Egyptians. And so there's actually, they keep track of the time in the story, and it goes back to 12,800 years ago. So there's a lot of these weird things, but the biggest evidence for it is 1, the impact crater, 2, the megafauna extinction. And then 3 is like, if that happened, did our civilization restart? How many times has it happened to us as a civilization? Will it happen again? What did we lose? And if that's the case, then it only took us 12,800 years to get to this point that we're in now with computers and airplanes and stuff. So it brings in a lot of questions. And there's actually a surprising amount of evidence for it. So it's a fun thing to talk about, especially when we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that, and I'm
really
like, yeah, no, it's very interesting.
Yeah, you should definitely look it up. It's a little nuts because, and here's another thing that you might find interesting. You probably have heard that humans hunted the woolly mammoths to extinction, right?
Well, yeah, because that coincides with every time a human arrives in a continent or in a new location, there's massive die-offs of megafauna. So I had always just kind of believed that like we're the most destructive force in nature.
Sure. And there's a lot of evidence for that. But at the same time, humans have been in Africa since forever, but there's still megafauna in Africa. We didn't wipe those guys out.
Well, yeah, but I would argue that the reason we didn't wipe them out is because they co-evolved with us, and therefore the big giant elephant knew that the tiny human was going to murder it with a spear.
Mm-hmm.
But when those tiny humans showed up and like are killing a giant rat in America or wherever, that animal has not evolved to understand and know how dangerous these like tiny primates are.
Interesting. So counterpoint, when they reintroduced the wolves into Yellowstone, was it in the 90s? They decimated the elk for like the first winter, total decimation. But after that, the elk figured it out. The elk figured it out pretty damn quick. They never seen a wolf before. Then they figured out within one season, like, we got to stay away from these things. So I think the megafauna would figure out pretty quickly that humans are crazy. And also, it's like, I've been hunting, and with a rifle, right, I can shoot something from 300 yards. It's not fucking easy. It's not easy. And you're telling me we killed mammoths with some fucking sticks? We just used sticks and we just wiped them out?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, among other things.
What else did we have?
We had our brain power, and like the very fact that you and I can collaborate on this podcast, and the fact that we're doing this instead of chasing animals with spears says a lot about our ingenuity, and it speaks to our ability to murder giant mammoths.
One less counterpoint, because you make good points, but I'm trying to just get
I'm enjoying the conversation, and like I'm hearing you, but you know, I don't necessarily agree with you, but so like, it's good conversation.
We could have wiped out the bison, we could have wiped out the elk, and we pretty much did, for all intents and purposes. We almost wiped out. We brought them back too. So you don't think we would have done that to like megafauna if our civilization relied upon woolly mammoths? You don't think we would have been like, let's just like hold off, make a Yellowstone situation like we did with the bison? And now elk, there's more elk now than ever before in the history of North America, because we love them so much. So it's interesting dynamic. We brought the wolves back, brought the elk back, brought the mule deer, brought the antelope back. They thought prairie and antelope were going to go extinct, so we brought all those animals back because, like you said, of our ingenuity. So I find it hard that humans, 12,800 years ago would have been like, fuck them, fuck these mammoths and fuck these sloths, but like bison are cool, grizzly bears are cool, saber-tooth tigers, no way.
Yeah, I think humans, like, we get a lot of things. Like, we have the scientific method. We have, as far as I'm concerned, a proven way to test like our theories. And I think we're learning how to not have the impact that we've always had. And like, to go back to the Dark Divide film, the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, it's named after Gifford Pinchot, who was an American, and he was like, hey, we're just like taking all the trees and we have to like learn how to manage forests. So he goes to Germany and he gets involved and he learns like exactly how you take as much as you can while allowing the forest to thrive. And it's a good thing, and it's what we do, it's what we're getting better at. And
so you would argue for conservation as opposed to preservation.
I would ask you to extrapolate on that and further.
So Gifford Pinchot moved the forestry department into the Department of Agriculture from the Department of the Interior because he disagreed with internal politics, and he wanted a conservation-based approach to managing our timberland. So our timberland was supposed to be managed under Gifford Pinchot for logging interests, and the ability to have them, forever. Because there's ways to harvest. Trees are a renewable resource at the end of the day. They grow, they come down, they grow back. So,
but you have to manage any resource that's renewable.
And so that's the conservation mentality, is to look at the ecosystem and see humans as part of the ecosystem and want to preserve it. Well, not preserve that. That's the other thing. So want to manage it for resource extraction in some cases, and have the ability to continually go back to it. And now on the other side of the coin is preservation. Preservation is where people are separate from the ecosystem, and the ecosystem would be better off without people. And that's kind of the National Park and the Wilderness Act.
Yeah, and we're not a park, we're a monument. So.
Oh, you guys are a monument now. They got that.
The Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument has been a monument since, I think, I think Reagan declared it. So
was that after the explosion?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of like that happened, and people were like, "Hey, this is unique, and we should preserve that." So
now, is the whole Gifford Pinchot Forest, that old growth that you're hiking through, is that all national monument too, or is that just? I thought it was just national forest.
No, I mean so that's the thing about the monument, right? Is that the Park Service manages the parks, but because we're a monument, it's managed by the Forest Service.
Cool. Very interesting. So do you ever see the politics with the Park Service versus the Forest Service? Because there are two different departments. Do you ever have a guy being like, hey, I can't chainsaw this tree, not my jurisdiction, that kind of thing?
No, not at all. No. Oh man. Yeah, no. The parks people are great, but they're never in the monument, right? And as far as I can tell, the biggest difference is that dogs can go to monuments, but they can't go to parks. So we see a lot of people hiking with dogs in the monument,
which makes sense because of its proximity to Portland. So
yeah, I guess so.
People love their dogs out there.
Yeah, it's the Pacific Northwest. So,
There's a little PW for you. No, it's crazy how much people love their dogs out there. I love
yeah,
dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? But it's like a religion at times. Oh my gosh. Are you
yeah.
kidding
Like
me?
these people
Yeah,
will open mouth kiss their dogs, and you're just like, what?
it's disgusting. They eat
Yeah,
poop. Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
Are
They like
there?
the texture.
Is it, it's not the taste, it's just the texture they like.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, a dog's taste. A
So
dog's
you,
taste buds don't taste. They are more about texture.
I had no idea. Is that a real thing?
I believe
Uh,
it,
all
and I'm
right,
a
that sounds good.
scientist. So
So you keep saying you're a scientist. What are you?
no, I'm not a scientist.
You're not a
I'm just
scientist.
making a joke. I work for a
Okay.
science education
Okay.
organization, so like science is very important to me.
Mhm.
I'm a public relations professional, and
Okay.
what I do is I tell the important things that are science based in terms that are approachable, right? And it's cool. It's fun, and I really enjoy it. And I end up asking a lot of really smart people questions like, "But what does that mean?" And can you explain that in an approachable way? But it's good. It's really good.
Hmm. So, with your science background and uh, intuition, have there been mysterious disappearances in this part of the country that can't really be explained? Missing hiker, missing
Yeah, I mean, hikers go missing
persons.
every season.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Dr. Robert Pyle
Okay.
is he's a scientist. He's a biologist. He's someone that like
The butterfly scientist.
yeah.
Yes.
And he believes in the things that like I believe in. And I was saying earlier, like, he's very open to like the Bigfoot idea in his book, and like I'm very much a skeptic, but
Mhm.
no one's gone missing from like Bigfoot attacks, but I definitely was looking for traces of Bigfoot in the Dark Divide, right? Like it's the place where if there was ape like Bigfoot, um, it makes the most sense that they'd be able to like exist and thrive in that environment because like I don't know, man, you can't see 10 feet in front of you half the time. So you're just like, if there was a big 8 foot tall monkey man 10 feet away, I wouldn't know.
Hmm. Very interesting. What other kind of animals are out there?
Bears,
Just black, no grizz.
yeah, we don't have
Grizzly.
grizzly bears out here.
No grizzly.
No. Yeah. And yeah, my friend who I took on this backpacking trip was freaked out about bears, and I'm just like, it's fine. Um, and we kept finding bigger and bigger piles of like berry filled bear shit. And I'm just like, it's just a thing. Like, don't worry about it. Um, and then we like finally came upon the bear and like scared it off. And he's like, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, beaver.
Big black beaver. Usually you don't see those in the woods. That's more of a Portland thing, but
Yeah.
so okay, so you got black bear. Are there elk out there?
Yeah, we have elks, and like there have been reported sightings of wolves out here.
Really?
Like
There's wolves out there.
we can't confirm it. No one
There's
can
wolves.
confirm it.
There's wolves in the northern part of the state, though.
I personally
Okay.
believe that there are wolves here.
Okay.
I just think we haven't been able to confirm it. I don't think the scientists out here have been able to confirm it.
Interesting.
But
Yeah,
like,
if you see a black dog, that's a wolf. If you could hear him too, but
oh yeah,
very
no, people are
distinct.
like, oh, this
Yeah.
big giant dog was hanging out, and I'm just like, oh, that's a wolf.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely got mountain lions then.
Yeah, I saw my first mountain lion this summer,
Really?
actually. And it was
Wow.
exactly how I wanted to see it. I was with a friend. We had been hiking on the North Fork of the Lewis River, and we're driving home, and it's dusk, and the big kitty like runs out in front of us, and I was just like, oh man. And like, I think I'm pretty brave and cool, but I rolled up my window.
This
Yeah. No, it was like, oh man, it's got big ears, it's got the tail, and it just runs like a cat. And so you're just like, oh, it's weird, right? It's a giant, it literally is just a big cat.
Yeah, yeah, big, dangerous cat. See, personally, I don't believe in Bigfoot. I think the disappearances are mountain lions dragging people away,
Oh,
maybe. And then my other conspiracy. So whenever like a woman gets missing, mountain lion, like 120 pounds, dead. But when a guy goes missing, like a guy, like 45-year-old, like dude, like experienced hunter, they go missing. That's not a disappearance. He just bailed. He's in Costa Rica with a new life. He just said,
well,
"Fuck it, I'm not going
um,
back home." That's what I think happened.
I mean, that sounds like I'd like to believe that story is true for everyone who goes missing, but
It's like the weird ones where like they find his hiking boots, they don't find him. It's like yeah, he's enjoying a new life. He doesn't have to go back home. You don't know. You don't. You're not buying it. You do. You think there's something
no,
happening.
I'm not buying it. I think people just get lost in the woods. I think that there's a radical implication of luck that plays a huge role in my life and yours. And I think
Yeah.
we're lucky to be like who we are. I think we're lucky to have found success, but there are a lot of people who are unlucky and they take a wrong turn, they just die. And it's not like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's anything as dramatic as like a freaking tiger attack. I think, I don't know. Have you been lost in the woods? I've been lost in the woods many times.
Yeah. I've tried to be lost.
Well, you're a better man than I.
I mean, I've been in situations where like I didn't know where I was because the sun was coming down. There was a snowstorm, and so I just had to hunker down for the night. But I
Yeah,
always
well,
kind
some
of knew
people
where I
don't.
was.
Yeah, but some people don't. They might not know where they are, right? Like, you can't just assume that everyone who does what you do has the same skill set and knowledge that you have. And there are a lot of people who, I mean, are frankly unprepared and unskilled to go out into the woods, but do it anyway. And I think they just get lost and that's it. And we never hear from them again. It's a hungry country and it just swallows people up.
It's true. It's true. It'll kill you if you're not careful. Yeah, they don't find people when they get lost. Out by you, out by me.
No, yeah,
No, they just
it's
don't find people.
yeah.
Well, that's like the story of the Appalachian hiker. That's the year I was hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Oh,
This woman got lost, and they
oh,
found her in
so
her tent 3 years later, like 4 years. It's crazy. 3, 5,
yeah,
something like that. And they found her mummified in her tent 2 miles off the trail. I remember that. I was there. There were police lines, there were helicopters, people were calling her name, and she died of starvation, mummified in her tent 2 miles off trail. Crazy. And they
how do
couldn't
you get
find her. Yeah.
how do you get mummified in like 2, 3 years, especially without like the
Like
Egyptians are really good at like mummifying people.
I don't think it was like an Egyptian mummification. I think the
Take a
maggots.
nose out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
the maggots got most of it. Yeah,
Oh my God. Okay.
but it's weird. It's a weird thing because Maine is super dense, very very dense, and I mean
Yeah.
2 miles is not. Are you kidding me? I've walked that far to get water from camp before, so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that
So
sucks,
yeah.
right? Yeah, so hike with a
Yeah.
buddy out there, people. Nuts. Die of starvation though. That'd be. Ugh, I don't know. That'd be a bad way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think as like through hikers, we're very food focused,
You
and
know,
we probably imagine that as the worst way to go. But I bet there's worse ways to go.
it's probably like the wolf from the butthole would definitely be a worse
Yeah,
way.
I
Yeah.
think I'd rather starve than have a wolf. Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna finish that sentence.
But that's if you've ever seen a video, that's how they kill their prey. It's the softest part of the body. So they just latch right on there. It's rough.
Oh,
Mother Nature. But yeah, so like that's why when people say they're like dogs, I'm like they're not. They're not. They're not a dog. A dog is a pet. A dog is very lovable, very nice animal. The wolves are not none of
I'm
that.
gonna say that a wolf is like a human, and I
Yes.
think we have more in
Yes.
common with wolves than we have in common with dogs. And we became, we domesticated the dog,
Yep.
and that was like our attempt to make our wolf friend a little less of an asshole and more of like a cool, chill dude.
Oh, absolutely. We inbred them so much that they became mentally handicapped and rely on us for everything.
Yeah,
Is
no,
that politically correct? The inbreeding
I
to
don't know. I
mental.
would,
What's the word I'm looking for?
Jesus Christ, I don't know.
Inbred. I'm trying not to say
No,
the
I
R
mean,
word. I'm trying not to get kicked
do
off
not,
YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah.
do not say that word, please. Yeah, no, I
But
think
that's
it's
kind
really,
of that's what we did to him now. That is what we did.
well, yeah, it's kind of unethical. Like people want purebred dogs, and like French bulldogs are very much, they have a lot of health issues because we have like bred them in ways to make their faces flat and
Yeah.
small so that they look like a human. And it's like, well, you shouldn't do that to a dog.
They can't breathe.
So yeah, and even though I don't like love your word choice, like you're making a salient point.
I thought that was the most kosher, politically correct way to say that. I try to think of a better word.
uh yeah, no. Keep working on it, buddy.
I get.
uh,
I can't. So mentally handicapped off limits now. That's the
I
word.
don't know.
Not
I'm
allowed.
not the codified expert on
Well,
topics.
I don't know. I thought that was a good one. Cool. Well,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, go
listen,
ahead.
Jared. Um, this is great. We got to do another podcast with you. Okay, I've had a lot of
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. When's the next
Yeah.
hike? When's the next hike? What are you doing?
I don't know. Probably next summer. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
Okay.
I'll do something again. So,
All right. Well, you let me
are we gonna
know.
talk about dog evolution? We can talk about forest management.
The
Like,
forest manager is interesting. We should pick a topic for the next one. I want you to look up the Younger Dryas impact theory because I love talking about that. But definitely
yeah, please,
conservation versus preservation.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Please send me more about that Younger Dryas. Like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
that's super interesting.
There's a lot of stuff there, especially around the last ice age, that I think because you said humans are very young species, and this argument counteracts that completely and says we're a very ancient species. So you think about it like this: if we are an ancient species and we go back and we co-evolved with the animals, all of our religion would be based around the sun and the solstices, which it kind of was at one point.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, why wouldn't our religion be
Why would it be?
based around the sun?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It would. What if we were worshiping literally outer space, worshiping a star, and we're very one with nature. We're harvesting animals. The kind of in a very sustainable way, and then bam, comet comes from outer space, wipes us out. The only people who survived were the people not in the cities, not kind of living this civilized lifestyle. And they're like, "Fuck it, we're not gonna worship that shit. That's crazy. We're gonna kill everything." We gotta burn oil. We gotta get out of here. So it's an
Man,
interesting point. Yeah.
I have so many follow-ups to that, and I think we definitely need another
All right,
podcast
let's keep it
to
going. We're keeping it
discuss
going.
it.
We're keeping it going.
Oh, well, I'm not convinced that like a comet could murder like people and not murder most of the population, right? Like if you look at like any mass extinction, a lot of species die, and like it's weird to me to assume that like a comet landed 12,000 years ago and like humans in cities only died, but like the humans on the farm didn't.
Well, that was my own shtick take on it. It's just basically
Okay.
the people who would survive would be the ones who were self-sufficient and independent enough to go back to the land and survive.
I got you, but like, okay, counterpoint. Have you read The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
I've seen the movie with what's his
Oh
face
yeah.
from Lord of the Rings. He's
Oh
got the
yeah,
kid
Viggo
with him.
Mortensen. He's got a
Yeah,
tail. It's weird. He's got a tail. It's super weird. We can talk about that
strange.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, like I got the impression in that movie that like a meteor crashed,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're gonna die. There's no getting out of that situation. He's just there with his kid, and he's like stealing canned food from homeless people, and being bad for like whatever reason. But like I don't know. Now imagine we have less technology, and that happens. I just don't buy it.
Well, what happens if a comet hit our civilization today? All of our data is stored on the internet and
On the
paperless
cloud. Yeah.
on the cloud. A comet wipes all that out completely. That's it. I mean, we're done. We're starting over. Computers are useless. Cars are useless. Everything's broken. We got to start from, square one. And the thing about the Younger Dryas impact, it hit the North American ice sheet and caused massive floods. So if there were any civilizations, the ocean levels rose 400 feet overnight. And I'm not making this is a fact. This happened.
No,
So if our cities are on the
unfamiliar.
coast,
I'm unfamiliar with this theory, so I'm enjoying what you're telling me. Even if I'm like skeptical, I am open to hearing it. So please go on.
So if most of our cities are on the coast, like they are in modern times, imagine if the ocean went up 400 feet overnight. Devastation. Nothing left. I mean, we're talking tidal waves. Manhattan would be, wiped clean with a force that large.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can only hope something that happens again.
No, man. Why would you?
Clean up. Let's go restart.
No, I mean, it was, yeah. Anyway.
Well, okay. So next podcast, we're going to talk more about extinction events, human history, and kind of where wolves and us can coexist, I guess. And then I think there's a lot here. I think there's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, for sure. I will. Yeah, and I'm happy to bring like some of my more science-minded coworkers along for a chat.
Let's have a round table about the Younger Dryas impact theory. Let's really hammer it home.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. I would love that. Like I work with so many smart people, and I'm just like constantly in awe of them, and so like it would be yeah, for sure.
I'll bring some not necessarily scientists, but great personalities, and it'll be fun.
What do you mean not necessarily scientists?
The profession, they're not scientists by profession. They're like hobby enthusiasts.
Why are they like people who should have a voice, right? Like are they experts of any kind, or are they just not scientists? I feel like that's like
they're an expert. They're experts.
In what?
I'll have to ask him. I'll have to ask him. I would say we're experts in hiking, so we got that going for us.
We are
ecology experts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, we're.
I think that's actually the thing. People are actually ecology experts.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, I don't know if I'd classify myself as an ecology expert, but I'm definitely enthusiastic about being outside.
We love trees. That's all we can say. We love
Jesus
trees.
Christ, I love them.
Yeah, it's so cool. All right, Jared. Well, thank you for spending time with me. Oh, do you have an Instagram or something for people to follow? YouTube channel?
Yeah. My Instagram is Jared B. Stewart. Follow my YouTube channel, though it's well not my YouTube channel, but the Mount St. Helens Institute.
Mount St.
That's
Helens
down.
Institute.
Yeah.
You saw it here. Mount St. Helens Institute is on my podcast. Very excited.
Yeah, and if you're someone who watches a podcast like this and maybe you think about going on like wild adventures but aren't sure how to approach it, or just trying to navigate that, we do offer guided programs.
Nice. Are
And
you a
we do
guide?
things like, no, I'm not. I would love to be a guide, but I don't have my wilderness first aid certificate, so I would be a terrible guide.
Not yet. Right? Not yet.
Yeah, yeah, not yet. But yeah, we do things like we go into the crater. We put on our volcano naturalist program, which is like classes that are led by experts that are all about the volcano in my backyard. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot we do, and I would encourage anyone watching to get involved, and feel free to reach out to me if you have questions.
Heck yeah. Reach out, go see a volcano, go hike the Dark Divide, and subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Jared, thank you again. I hope
It was a pleasure.
to run into you in the wilderness very very soon.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
All
We'll
right,
talk to you
man.
soon.